I am CharLee Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk. Hello, glad you're here. I'm a little different, I think, than a lot of those podcasts you see. I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield. I don't claim to be smarter than anyone else about much anything. I do know a lot about a lot of things, or excuse me, I know a little about a lot of things, but not a lot about any one thing in particular. And I'm just fine with that because I like to meet people who are. I hang out with people who are smarter than me. I'm not intimidated by that. I don't feel like I can't keep up or they're looking down on me. I don't care if they want to do that. I don't care. I'm curious. I ask questions. I've always been that guy that asks a lot of questions. The one that the other kids would get irritated with because I keep asking the teacher questions when they wanted to get released. But what about? Yeah, I was that kid. So there, you were annoyed by that kid. I'm quite sure when you were going to school. I was that kid. So here I am now doing this for a living, which is pretty funny. Thank you, Lord, for equipping me to ask a lot of goofy questions and to talk to people who are smarter than me. Solomon Schmidt is my guest today, and I know how to pronounce his last name because that's my sister's last name. She married a Schmidt, Gary, and so I know how to pronounce your name, buddy. He's written a book, and it's a pen. I want to get it right. A Pen to Change the World. The Life of J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, of course, wrote the Harry Potter books. I don't know a lot about her. I just know that on the air, I made a lot of enemies when those books came out and the movies came out, and all these people are squealing with delight because their kids are reading again. And I'm on the radio at the time working for CBS. And I created a lot of controversy when I said, it's not good things to read. It's about witchcraft and sorcery. And as a Christian and a follower of Christ Jesus, if you read the word at all, you know that we're to avoid that like the plague. But here you're all giddy with excitement because your kid is reading. It became trendy. It became unique, timely, and trendy. And everybody was on board, especially the Christians. Oh, it's great. The children are reading. What are they reading? Where do you draw the line? It's like saying Penthouse is a great magazine or a bad magazine, but they had great articles. It's still, would you give that to a kid? I didn't get it. And because I said that on the air, the controversy was intense. Lost listeners, lost advertisers, and I'm like, over that? True story. I still feel the same way about all the Harry Potter stuff, but I do have admiration for the imagination of J.K. Rowling, at least, and her ability to write in a very compelling way that people want to continue reading. Anytime you get an author like that you just can't wait until the next book comes out. You know, my dad had authors like that he would follow. I can't think of any of their names right now, but he was big on all that stuff, reading that stuff. Big reader. And then the whole trans thing happened. And dudes, freaky cross-dressers, acting like they're women. And not only compelling, but forcing people to acknowledge them as women. Women were doing the same thing, acting like they were men and wanted to be called men, but not so much so as the men, as the dudes. And once again, it's just the men controlling the women all over again in a most perverse and kind of bizarre way. These men are going to force these women to comply with their wishes to walk around like frickin' animals in their locker rooms, nude. While at the same time, all these women are supposed to kowtow to your mental affliction and call you a woman, call you a she, call you a her, or whatever stupid ass pronoun you choose. Insane. And when that first started happening, I was on the radio with a guy named Phil Cowan, who just truly one of the greatest people I've worked with my whole career, doing mornings for the Salem Media Group in Sacramento Market, Northern California. And on KTKZ was the radio station. And he went after that, started in on it, and we were all laughing. This is ridiculous. There's no way that people are going to roll over and let these idiots force them to comply. Comply. That's the best word. Comply with their wishes, with their delusions. We never thought that it would get to the point where it is now. Just didn't imagine that we could all be that completely, collectively stupid. Boy, were we wrong. How many people fell right in line? Even still, media people, conservatives like me, will call somebody like Bruce Jenner she and her. He never had that transition surgery. He's still got the male junk hanging down. No, I'm not going to call you a she and a her. And the fact that I just said that will get this show deleted off of YouTube and probably get my channel taken away because I already have 2 strikes against me. But the fact that I just said that, they're not women. They shouldn't be. And then we allow them in school sports. Boys? So much bigger, so much stronger. Dressing like girls, even if they're taking the transitioning hormones or whatever that is, they still have all the physical capabilities of a male, maybe not so much so with the, less testosterone flowing in them, but yet we're letting men in women's prisons because they say they're women. How did we get to that point? J.K. Rowling starts speaking out against this. Dang, did she take heat? People were suggesting, well, that's it. She's done. Her career's over. Nobody will ever read anything again. People were burning her books and all kinds of bizarre stuff was going on over this minuscule little tiny minority of freaks who want to force you to call them something other than the sex that they were born with. Solomon Schmidt, you're standing by. We're going to talk about J.K. Rowling on today's Do Not Talk. Are you ready? Hit it.
Yeah! Woo!
Welcome to the big old bad old broadcast, my friend.
Thanks, CharLee. Appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you being had. I don't know if that's the direction that you wanted to take this, but that's a very real thing in J.K. Rowling's life right now. And she's still being attacked for daring to say, no, this is ridiculous. Why are we allowing this to continue?
Oh, yeah.
Is that covered in your book?
Totally. It starts from the first chapter because her speaking out on this issue without trying to sound Freudian, by her own admission, it's rooted in a number of things that happened in her personal life. One of them is her relationship with her father. Getting right into some really personal details here, she and her father had a tortured relationship for decades. And that started in some ways with one key fact. Her father wanted a son and even had a name picked out for this son. And it turned out to be Joanne, JK. And he was very disappointed. Okay, this happens with a lot of parents. Well, he held on to that and told her she was a disappointment to him and made her realize that all through her childhood. And she was a very self-conscious little girl, very quirky, freckly, nerdy, bookworm, not confident. And then she had a father who was pretty callous, as far as we can tell, and by her own admission, and actually pretty extensive admission. And fast forward 50 years later, when she puts out an essay saying why she's so passionate about the transgender controversy, one of the points she makes is that if these transitional surgery options had been available to me in the 70s and 80s, I believe I could have been persuaded to turn myself into the son my father openly said he'd have preferred. That's
just
a direct
to try
quote.
and please her dad. Yeah,
that's a direct quote. And I mean, the other element that is a huge factor, CharLee, which is another sad aspect of her life. She comes at this topic as someone who suffered domestic abuse from a man, sexual assault from a man. And I chronicle all that in the book, Pen to Change the World. And her first husband, who was physically abusive towards her, there's an entire saga, very twisted, sad saga to their first marriage. I met him, found him in Portugal, tracked him down, talked to him. And their relationship was sad, was troubling, was disturbing. But it's one of the main reasons that ultimately led to JK speaking out in the transgender controversy, because initially, she supported trans rights. She came to New York and made a speech in 2016 in which she praised transgender rights.
Oh, she was a flaming lefty. Oh, yeah, hardcore.
Yeah. Well, and then the question to me was, well, what the heck happened in that time frame from 2016 to 2019 and 2020, when she was literally willing to blow up her life in every way possible, down to getting very credible death threats, predators coming to the homes where her children live. There's no end to what's happened. You, CharLee, there's a video I saw of a concert that was held in London with thousands of young British people. Now, 25 years ago, these thousands of British young people would have been cheering JK and were cheering JK as one of the great icons of their nation, as an inspiring, up-and-coming 35-year-old wonder. And now that she's a 60-year-old, seemingly pro-establishment, hater of minorities, they're at this concert last year, a group of young British people screaming and cheering for her destruction, with glee. It's just a total 180. She has now become, to a lot of these young people, the exact opposite of what she was 25, 30 years ago, which is the establishment, big sister, big brother. That's her now, instead of her being the one to fight the system, fight Voldemort, fight the enemies of goodness and light. I mean, that's what Harry Potter is. It's these young kids who fight against the government, which has turned tyrannical, and fight against Voldemort, who's taking over their world. It's a bunch of rebellious young kids who end up saving the world by challenging evil authority. And now they see this element of people who hate JK. They see themselves as doing that, but this time it's JK who's the tyrannical authority. So it's a sadly interesting turn of events. And yeah, I chronicle all of it in the book. This is the first book that tells that full story.
This is fascinating stuff to me. Just watched a documentary about Hershey. What was his first name? Melton?
Yes.
Hershey chocolate. What a brilliant dude. And truly caring, unlike a lot of these, these business corporate magnates.
Sure.
Actually, during the Great Depression, refused to fire his staff, lost a tremendous amount of money, kept paying them to keep working for a product that he couldn't sell because nobody had the money to buy it. So he had to. It was just an amazing thing. So he really sacrificed personally to keep his employees working. But yet just a couple of short years later, these same people, the unions, come in and they're infiltrating and they're whispering and going, they're giving themselves raises. What about us? And so on. And next thing you know, these very same employees are turning against him.
Wow.
Like that.
That's a shame.
It's so intrusive, how easy it is to sway a huge population against someone who was trying to help and do good things for them. Watching them turn, and as Jesus said, don't cast your pearls before swine, lest they turn and rend your flesh. Was J.K. Rowling casting her pearls before swine? I don't know. No, she was just writing what was in her imagination, what she brought together and brought to life on pages, and then the movies, of course, took it to a whole new level.
Right.
And
it's the danger of. Oh, I'm sorry.
And how easy is it? Why is it so easy, do you think, for people to turn on someone like that merely because you've decided to do a slight shift? It's not like she said, I'm against everything that I ever wrote, and I am completely, I write that all off as worthless or meaningless. No, she focused on this one thing. Why are you not seeing how stupid it is to let males compete against young females? They're getting hurt. They're having their opportunities stolen from them. They're having scholarships taken away from them. They don't get the first place trophy because little Timmy decided he wanted to be a girl. He got the first place trophy. We're robbing an entire generation of girls and young women from any kind of accomplishment that way. It's just one more time of the man keeping down the woman, really. Well, boil it down to that. That's all she did. And look what happened. And it hasn't ended. The death threats have been horrible.
Well, I think part of it may be the danger of soundbite culture. And this is why shows like yours are great, because I mean, I had this experience. A year ago, I was at a event, or a year and a half ago now, because he became physically incapacitated about a year and a half ago. I was at an event for Jordan Peterson up in Canada, and there were transgender protesters outside the event. And I started talking to the folks. I was doing at that time research into Dr. Peterson, and was also working on the JK book. And so I was interested in talking with them, and I started asking them questions. And a lot of them grew up reading Harry Potter. And I asked, what changed? Well, one of the folks who was there, who was not transgender, but was there supporting maybe a friend or what have you, probably just had their talking points and was there to support them and fill up a weekend evening that he couldn't fill up otherwise. He didn't seem to have, in fairness to him, he didn't seem to have a great deal of knowledge about Harry Potter. So, but what he said was, she's wrong on everything she's ever said about the transgender question. And I asked him, have you read her essay, explaining her reasoning? And it was obviously a pointless question, but it was a genuine question. He said no. And what I said to him was, well, I mean, it's a 3,000 word essay. It's like a mini book. You're telling me that you haven't read it, but you disagree with everything in there. And this isn't me trying to show myself to be naive or anything. I was just being, genuinely open. And I think there is a great danger in the soundbite culture, which is when you're not willing to really read it at length or listen at length. No. But critically, you're still willing to give a very fiery opinion about something without a lot of background details to it. And I'm guilty of that myself, right? I mean, I give my opinion all the time, or sometimes about things that I really haven't done a lot of research on. But then, of course, the more research you do about something, oftentimes the less opinions you have, because you realize there's so much more you still have to learn. So yeah. I think one of the dangers is you just see her make some expletive-laden, sarcastic, demeaning comment on X, which she does a lot, in fairness to people who don't like her. She can be extremely nasty in her verbiage. And I even, granted, wherever she's coming from or whatever place in her heart, I don't know. And these are very troubling issues to her. I grant that. But so if you read one of her sound bites or one of her statements, you could extrapolate a lot from that. But the more you look into it, the more you realize these things are complicated. And that's what I tried to show in my book, but without making it complicated in any sort of dull way, just to give the full background on who this person is. I mean, this was a long research project for me. And she's lived 60 years so far, which isn't, it's not 100 years. Hopefully she has many more years, obviously. But even still, those 60 years have been packed with a lot of complicated relationships, accomplishments, setbacks. So to summarize this person as this label without even trying to understand some of those complicating factors, it's obviously not fair. At least, read into it a little. In my view, read into it a little, study it, and then maybe carefully give out an opinion. But we just don't do that, CharLee.
No, jump right on. My first time getting death threats was when I stood up to the San Francisco City Council, where I was doing mornings on a radio station owned by ABC in the city. And they passed a law for this within the city limits of Frisco. And I call it that because I hate it when I call it that. they passed a law saying that any dude who shows up dressed as a woman, you cannot make them go home and change.
Mm.
You have to let them stay there dressed as a dude in your store, and you can't force them not to do that.
Right.
And I just thought, this is insane. These people are business owners. They've hired somebody in good faith to represent their business in a good way, in a way that's not going to drive away customers. And you are legally, this just seems completely ridiculous. Where the rights of the business owner, and that's about as much as I took it. And then the calls started, and then the response started, and then the boycott started, and then the death threats started, and the newspaper columnists started, and all of them. And then it's reported on the other television stations that I said this, and the things that were coming back to me that I actually said on the air were not even close to what I actually said.
Yep.
And to those who would actually talk about it, I'd ask them, well, what did I say exactly? You said this. And, no, didn't say that at all. Here's what I said. Let's go to the tape. It doesn't matter. Like what's that quote? I believe it's a Mark Twain thing. A lie can travel all the way around the world before the truth gets a chance to put on its pants.
Yes.
And that's how they don't care. They don't care about what's real. All they care about is their emotions have been inflamed, and they're going to make somebody pay.
I'm getting a lot of hateful comments to my social media, and I had my Goodreads page, which is a very important site for book reviews, get spammed with 1-star reviews of people who wanted to punish me for writing about her. Some of the messages have been incredibly nasty, but the funny thing is, they're like, a lot of the messages are totally self-contradictory. There are things like, this person is so full of hate, I can't stand them. I hate people who hate, stuff. They don't come out and say that exactly, but it's messages like that where you go, wow. Freud said something once, and I don't quote Freud very much, but there was a quote he gave which I thought was spot on. And he said, oftentimes what you most dislike in someone else is something that you don't like about yourself. And that sounds like a bunch of psychological nonsense at first. And that's what I initially thought, okay, whatever, that's a truism. Okay. And then I caught myself a week or two later getting annoyed about something, and then it was like, whoa, it turned inwards, and my gosh, that's me. And that's happened so many times. I wonder now, for folks who are listening who have heard that quote, if they'll find themselves doing that. But that's exactly what these messages are. It's like, down with bigots, censor them, block bigots. You can't make this stuff up. You'd think it was a joke or a script for a comedy show.
The same people who squeal about freedom of speech, and they have the freedom to say what they want.
Sure.
Except for you, because you don't agree with me, so you don't have that freedom. That's so divisive and cannot end well. No. I had no idea that. I don't know why I should have been surprised, though, that people would be spamming you and the bots and the 1-star reviews and so on to try and stop people from actually reading the story of the woman who brought supposedly so much joy to a generation or two.
Right.
Now suddenly the most hated on the planet. No, I don't hate J.K. Rowling. As a matter of fact, I have new admiration for her like I never did before, because she spoke up. Martina Navratilova. Imagine what she's gone through for daring to say basically the same kind of things. Tennis legend Martina Navratilova dared to say, no, this is wrong. What are you people doing? Why are you allowing this? You can only imagine what she's gone through and anybody associated with her. So did you get to sit down with JK? Have you actually interviewed her for any of this book? What was that like?
No, JK she is famously very private. She told me early on that it was nothing personal, but that she doesn't want to authorize a biography. The reason I wrote this book is I run a tour in England and Scotland themed around the lives and works of her, Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, and C.S. Lewis, who wrote Chronicles of Narnia. I fell in love with England when I visited there when I was 16. And I wanted to give people an experience what like I had there, which was life changing, but to do a trip there that would be so breathtaking in terms of the itinerary, the hotels, the food, the restaurants, and the sights, and all that, that it would be a life changing trip for people. So I put together an itinerary through the best parts of England, London, Oxford, the chalk cliffs on the southern coast, Edinburgh, the Scottish Highlands, Fort William. And I went looking for resources to study JK's life. And I couldn't find what I went looking for, which was this book. There was one book from 25 years ago that was very out of date. And it was like, my gosh, this is JK. Could you imagine Tiger Woods not having a biography, or Dickens, or whoever it may be?
No,
like,
exactly.
So
Yes, I would just imagine that everybody would be writing about her and what it was like, whether it's positive or negative. But no,
Right.
You're right. No one else
Right.
has been.
Right. So this is the book I went looking for. It's over 500 pages. It's got maps and a family tree, almost 150 full color photographs. Many of them have never been published before. And it tells for the first time her whole rags to riches story, from single mother on welfare to billionaire, the whole 17-year saga of how she wrote Harry Potter, and gives a complete account of this controversy over sex and gender. So all these elements that I believed were very important to have in a book, I just got to a point where I went, okay, why don't I do it? And I told my publisher the idea, and he loved it. And now, by the grace of God, here it is. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And so far, the people who have read it have thankfully, except for the spammers who didn't read it, have said really wonderful things.
They don't.
No, because they didn't get an advance copy. They said they did, but they didn't.
Does she have it? Is she in possession of it? Have you got any kind of inkling as to how she feels about it?
I'm going to send her a copy of the UK edition. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, when I was doing some research in the UK, trying to do some in-person interviews with people who were significant to my research, I got a letter from her legal team, and it said, we know you're trying to do in-person interviews for this biography on our client. She's aware of this. We're asking you to stop, or greater, or what was the exact, I have the letter right in front of me. In fact, it was my publisher had me include it in the book for people to understand the context to what happened. At this stage, our client does not intend to take matters further, but it should be noted that she will not tolerate any further invasion of privacy. Now, what I was doing was not illegal. I was visiting people at some of their addresses not in the middle of the night, not early in the morning. I was telling them who I was, that I was doing a research project on J.K. Rowling. They were free to turn me away, whatever. But I get the fact that she didn't like that. I totally understand that. So I left after I got that letter. I stopped doing that aspect of my research. But that was unfortunately more confrontational than I had wanted. I never wanted confrontation. And I was never looking for dirt about her. I uncovered some things during the course of my research that were not flattering. Unfortunately, CharLee, the bizarre thing, like really bizarre to me as I discovered it, was, Harry Potter has all sorts of references to her personal life. But there was a book she wrote after Harry Potter, the first one she published after Harry Potter, her first novel for adults. And you can imagine the excitement over this book. J.K. Rowling has written a new book. Oh my gosh. It was 2012. It was called The Casual Vacancy, and it's set in modern day England. And quite frankly, it's about people who just have messed up lives. We all do in some ways, right? But like really destroyed lives. Serious drug addiction, rape, abuse, total extreme bullying, self-harm, all these different things. And a lot of aspects from the book come from JK's personal life, down to very specific references to people in her family and people she knew growing up. She hinted that they were in there, but I got access to information that helped me sort of decode that. So that's all kind of uncovered and shown and decoded in this biography. And the amazing thing was she put that in this book that millions of people were going to read. Now, they didn't yet have access until now to the information to decode a lot of those references, but she hinted they were in there. So why she did that, I have guesses. She's told us that writing is very cathartic for her in terms of exercising her personal demons.
Form of therapy, man. Writing stuff down.
She admits that freely, and
Dear diary,
make her life interesting because you see the emotional journey she goes through at the same time she's writing Harry Potter and these other books, especially Harry Potter. All these great themes of triumphing over tyranny, dealing with death of loved ones, love triumphing over all. These are all experiences she went through while she was writing the book. The loss of her mother, who she loved dearly, who died when J.K. was 25 after a long battle with MS. That informed all the deaths that would come in the Harry Potter series. That is what drove J.K. to think about this. And even on a more profound spiritual level, J.K., I found out she attended church all through her teens by herself. Her father, her mother, her sister were not Christians. For some reason of her own free will, she got herself baptized when she was 11 and attended church up to the age of 17, and then has attended church since her mid-30s on at a church in Edinburgh, which I found. And even though she comes from a secular background in a lot of ways and is interested in different secular elements, you would say, of occult history, the intriguing thing to find out was that she also has a great interest on some level and a great passion and admiration for Jesus and for the stories of self-sacrifice in the Bible. And the whole story of Harry Potter, it turns out, ends up being about a boy who sacrifices himself to save his friends. It's a journey to a self-sacrificial death. So that aspect of it was surprising to me because I was not expecting that when I read the books for the first time. And then to get to the end of the series and find out what she was doing all through the plot of the 7 books, I was blown away by how deep these books were. And I just wanted to know, who is this lady, especially this single mother on welfare who was writing the best-selling book series of all time in cafes while nursing 1 cup of coffee because she didn't have money to afford more than one. And she was writing what would become the most classic children's series ever in terms of sales, right?
Iconic.
In terms of sales.
Absolutely iconic.
Yes. In terms of sale, blows everything else out of the water.
Yeah, and highly influential, whether it's positive or negative.
Sure.
But I'm learning things about her that I did not know. And you're right, she's intensely private. The simple fact that you pronounced Edinburgh correctly lets me know that you actually were there. I know that because I've been there too. I love it. Did you see the castle?
Right.
Castle of Edinburgh? Did you get to see it?
Yes, and there's a great shot. So one of
Worth
my
it. So she lives there, I guess. I take it.
This is one of my favorite pictures from the book for people who are watching it. It's a shot of J.K. with one of her books in front of Edinburgh Castle, and Harry Potter is put on like a projector all over Edinburgh Castle. And the interesting thing here, CharLee, is you can picture 10 years before that photo was taken. At this point, she's a billionaire and she's praised and loved throughout the world. 10 years ago, 10 years before that picture, she was walking by that castle, pushing her baby in a stroller through the cloudy, snowy city with no one paying her any heed in the world. She was totally unremarkable. No one gave her a second thought. She was just some lady, down and out in her luck, living in a 1-room apartment with mice scuttering, through the walls. But she was the best in the world at what she did. She was the best in the world at what she did, and no one knew it until she got her big break. So if that doesn't give you goosebumps, I mean, I was really shocked as I researched that to realize that, hang on, if this was J.K.'s story, in theory, anyone that I meet, any one of us at any point that we meet could be the best in the world at what they do, and we just don't know it yet. I mean, that is what the story of J.K. taught me, because that was her. She was like, I'm telling you, just plain, ordinary, not remarkable in any way, looked down upon, belittled, and she had this talent that was greater than just about anyone else. And it took a big break. It took someone taking a chance on her. I talked to that guy, her first publisher, who in 1996 saw Harry Potter and said, this is going to be something. This is going to be the kind of book that kids love, like Narnia, like Wizard of Oz, like all these classic stories. And he saw that. when she was that unremarkable lady, you know, and I give him credit. We wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah. And I want the same for your book. I hope it does well. Can we give you some good reviews on that website you were talking about? Can anybody just go there and?
Yes, that would be much appreciated. It's Goodreads, Amazon, either of those sites would help a lot if people feel led to write positive reviews. It's on Amazon, A Pen to Change the World. It's on Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org for people who like supporting their independent bookstores. And yeah, I mean, that would be much appreciated, because I still do get, I'm not crying here, but I do still get quite a bit of negative pushback from people who haven't even read the book, who are just trying to punish me for writing a book.
They don't care. No. The simple fact that you dared to stand up against the homosexual mafia. How dare you? Hold up your book again so we can see the cover.
Sure.
Solomon Schmidt, A Pen to Change the World, The Life of J.K. Rowling. There it is right there. I hope you'll purchase that and read that, and
thank you.
And support Solomon, because I think he's fantastic. You obviously put the work in that you said you put in, and you are the real deal, Holyfield. So thank you so much for. Have you written anything before this? Did you actually, or is this like your big? You had this idea, and I'm putting everything into it.
I started writing when I was 11, a series called History Bites for kids my age to help them become excited about learning history. And then I took a big switch when I was 18, and I did a biography on Alan Dershowitz, who's a lawyer who was in the
OJ. You know who Alan Dershowitz is. You were 18.
Oh, yeah.
You wrote a book about Dershowitz?
Yes, that one was authorized. I had his involvement, and it was fascinating. So I worked on that, and then had an interest in J.K. from the perspective of Harry Potter. But it turned out both she and Dershowitz had an insanely similar story, both coming from the left, like hard left.
Oh, yeah.
But now being revered by the right. They even got canceled in the same 6-month time span. Dershowitz was January of 2020 when he represented Donald Trump in his first impeachment trial. And J.K. was 6 months later when she made the tweet saying, there used to be a thing called woman. I'm sorry, I'm the only one who's noticing this now. So I only realized that after the fact, but it was an amazing similarity. Both these people were from the left and became viciously canceled, as they say.
The hypocrisy is so hilarious to me. A UFC fighter goes on television from the White House lawn saying that Michelle Obama is a man, and suddenly Democrats know what a woman is.
No comment.
That's
there.
So funny to me. That is so dang funny to me. The hypocrisy is just. If it wasn't so hilarious, it would be scary as hell. But Solomon, I wish you all the best, man, and I hope that you'll buy his book and that you'll. What's your website, by the way? Where do we find you?
Yeah, it's a real narcissistic sounding website called SolomonSchmidt.com.
Now you got to spell it for anybody listening and not watching. Yeah. Solomon is all O's, by the way. S-O, because sometimes it's M-A-N, but it's M-O-N. Yeah. So S-O-L-O, solo, M-O-N, yep. Solomon Schmidt, spell that.
S-C-H-M-I-D-T, and that would probably be the same spelling as your sister, from what I hear.
It is exactly the same spelling.
That's great. Thanks for having me, Charlie. I appreciate the support of the book.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it very much. Let's do it again. I want to get a progress report. And the next time you have a work come out, too, count on me, man. I'm in your corner now.
Thank you a lot.
All right, partner. All right, talk to you soon. Yeah. So support people like Solomon who are actually trying to present this truth, even when JK herself is sending her legal team after him. Yikes. Man, that guy's great, isn't he? That's a strong dude right there. That's a strong dude, and I believe the world needs more like him, especially those who are writers. May God bless you and keep you. Oh, by the way, buy this mug, would you? Let's talk about politics and religion. There you go. Big old 15-ounce coffee mug right there. Beauty, isn't it? CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons.com. There we go. Commercial over. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. Most importantly, America bless God.